Hello there. On this channel over the past few months, I've reviewed a lot of devices, and I've focused on companies like Books and BigMe. I even talked about Remarkable a little bit and Mobiscribe. And I've covered a lot of territory, but the one thing that I've probably talked the least about is the Supernote. And the odd thing about that is the Supernote is the device I use the most, and it's not even close. The Supernote is my daily driver at work, and it's been that way for the past year, over a year and a half, really. And so I'm hoping in this video, I'll share with you my top 3 reasons why the Supernote is the daily driver, why other people, in my opinion, other devices can't touch that device. And I'm just going to make the case for why it's special, hopefully, in these 3 things I'm going to highlight. But having said that, the Supernote is really about the details. It's about the little things. So while this video is going to focus on what I think are the 3 best arguments for my use case, I'm going to do a subsequent video that's kind of a little bit of a bonus video that will go into a little bit more of those details. And I think between the two, I think you as the viewer will have a sense of why the Supernote is so important and so unique in the industry, and why it's my daily driver. So that's the hope for these 2 videos, hoping to correct the wrong of not giving Supernote the attention that it sorely deserves. So we're going to rectify that here, and let's get into it. So the first thing I want to take a look at is the star marking system. And this is really the reason why I moved to Supernote to begin with. And I think that this functionality remains a leader in the industry. Although competitors have done some alternative strategies to try to bridge the gap. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end of my demonstration of this. But basically, I'm in a notebook right now. I've got my custom template in here, which is a PDF file. And it could also be a PNG file, but I prefer loading, in all my devices, I prefer loading PDFs. It's just an easier process to create them and make them as templates. Anyway, that's beside the point. So now here I have a message, and I says, I need to call the person back. This is a to-do. This is something I need to follow up on. It's not something that I'll be doing anytime soon, so I need to flag it. Now, the way that the Supernote works is I don't have to click on any type of menu or do anything like that. I just need to draw a star. So if we draw a star like this, okay, when it converts from my drawing to that symbol, it's a confirmation that the system understands that I've marked this item. If I draw a wonky star like that, so the system doesn't recognize it. I know immediately that the system doesn't recognize it. So you have visual confirmation about whether it's labeled or not. So that's huge. And also the fact that all I need in order to create this marker is to draw quickly with my stylus. That is a very unique feature in the industry. Now, once I have these stars marked, in order to search my to-dos, I can do it across notebooks, which is critical. And I can bring down my search bar, like so. Click on the little search icon. And then instead of file, I'm going to search for star. Now, I'm not going to do a search because I have my work notes here and I don't want to show those on the internet. But if I click on, what I would get is a list of all the files that have a star marker. And I could also click on a feature to say, don't just give it to me by file, give it to me by page. And then I can go in to the file, see what my to-do is, go back to search, and then go back to the previous list that I had created. So it's just a couple swipes and I can get back to this list. Now, if I have a star to-do list marked and I've done it, all I need to do is erase it. So I'm going to click on the eraser and go like this, and now the star marker is gone. It's as simple as that. It's one of the most seamless and integrated ways of creating to-do lists, and in my opinion, no other company has matched this. Now, as I mentioned, there are alternates that other companies have. For example, in Books, you have a search functionality where you can search in handwriting. So I used to, before I got the Supernote, I used to draw a couple X's. Oops, I gotta put this on ink. I used to draw a couple X's like so. It's pretty obvious what they are, and it's easy for the handwriting recognition to pick it up, although I kind of messed up on that second X. That might be difficult. Even for books, it has a really fantastic search feature for handwriting. Nevertheless, this is how I used to mark to-dos. And that worked. The problem is it worked about 90% of the time, and about 10% of the time it missed it. I know 100% of the time the star marking system works because I see that confirmation when I draw the star like so. Now, the best alternative where the confirmation is not an issue is tags. Books has tags, Remarkable has tags, but the act of adding and removing tags is not nearly as elegant as the process to add stars. And for that reason, the star marking system on the Supernote, I think, remains the gold standard in terms of tracking to-dos in the industry. I think it's better than the systems that other folks have, and that is the reason why. So the second feature that I really love about the Supernote, and it is very critical to my workflow on a daily basis, is what they call their quick access files. And so what you'll notice is that on the side of the screen, there's this kind of bar. And basically how the bar works is if you swipe from the top, you refresh the screen. So it's a nice refresh motion without having to touch the screen. If you swipe down, however, you get a menu like so. And in this menu, you have a quick access section, which is customizable. So let's walk through that process. So here I'm in a notebook, and I want to be able to come back to this file. And in fact, let's go back to this particular page. I'm going to add a fifth page. I'll go back. And now if I click on the ellipse, which I believe I'm pronouncing correctly, hopefully, I have a couple options in this menu bar. I can either add the current page or the current note. So let's walk through each option. So if I do the current page, so now what we see is that it's on my quick access bar and it has the notebook name and the number 4. So if I move on to that fifth page, for example, I swipe down on the access bar, I click on this, it goes back to that specific page. Now, I tend not to actually like to use this because I'm in notebooks where I'm constantly adding pages and I don't really want a reference point to a particular page. So what I usually use instead, I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the list, is I do the current note. And the current note takes you back to the last page you were in when you were in the notebook. So if you swipe down, you can see the notebook file is there. There's no number. It will always return to whatever the last page is you're on. And this is important because I may have a file that has, 20 pages, and I don't really care about the previous 19. To the extent I do care about it, I have a star marking system to refer accordingly. I always, when I go in that notebook, I want to go into the last page, and that's how this process works. So it's perfect for me. So as I mentioned, I literally am using these quick access links daily at work, and it's a critical part of my workflow to get to these files that I use often. So I don't believe that there is a feature in any of the competitors' offerings that is quite as convenient as what Supernote has here. Now the third feature I want to highlight, and this one's a little bit more of a conceptual one, and it's also not necessarily one that is completely unique to the Supernote, but I think that this aspect, in combination with the other things I covered, I think helps to round out why this device is so great in the workplace for me. And I'll point out that the weight of all these items, the pen plus the cover plus the device, is just under 600 grams. Now that's certainly not industry leading. I don't remember off the hand what the Note Air or the Remarkable two-way, but this is not the lightest device in the industry. There's no question about it. But it is relatively light. When I throw this item into my bag, I don't really feel the weight that much, so it's very portable. Um, and more importantly, it's not just the weight. I'm not really calling attention to the weight. I'm just as that a particular aspect that's great about this device. I'm just using this in the context for what I'm about to say about it. Now, the way the device works is it has this rail system, and you can see that right there. And let's see if I can go ahead and dislodge it. It takes a little bit of effort. There we go. And you can see that's the railing right there. So the device basically rides along the rail, and that's how it holds it in place. This is not as elegant of a cover as a lot of the magnetic covers. You can see, ooh, let me draw you back there, that we see. You can tell that I use the device. There's wear and tear on this, and you can see the slot there for the thing. I mean, I don't think that this cover is the greatest cover that you can get for an e-ink device. However, a couple attributes I want to focus on that I do think ultimately make it unique. I mean, first off, it's a very light design, right? It's a nice material, nice and soft on the inside, very thin with this loop to hold your pen. Let me go ahead and remount this real quickly. So if I feel like a magnetic cover is superior to this cover, why am I calling attention to this then? Well, the reason why is, even though I feel like magnetic covers are superior and I like the direction the industry is going in having those, it's totally irrelevant for this device. So first off, again, coupled with the weight, it's a very portable package. It's not particularly thick. The device is thicker than most, but it's got a good weight balance. And the cover is not obtrusive. So if I flip this over, how I use this device is I put it onto, let me move this over here so you can see it a little bit better. I just put it onto the table. This is how I use the device day to day. And then I take out the stylus, and then I write on it. The cover doesn't bounce much, just a little bit, but I don't notice it when I'm writing. And I can just fold it over, and I don't think about the cover at all. So while I do believe a magnetic cover is preferable for most devices, because this cover is so thin and so unobtrusive, all I do is flip it over, stick it on the table, and I'm good to go. The point I'm trying to make, and I don't know if I'm making this effectively, but the way that this device is packaged with the cover and with its weight balance, etc., it's easy to transport. I don't think about it much. I just pull it out of my bag, press the power button, and I'm ready to go. And then I just leave it flat on my desk. And then when I'm ready to use it, I pull the pen out, I write, I put my to-dos, like so, and that's it. It just works. It creates a flow where I don't have to think much in using this device. I don't have to go out of my way and alter my activities based on this device. You pull it out of the bag, you stick it on the desk, and then it's like a pad of paper for the rest of the day. And when I'm done, fold it back up, lock the pen in or the stylus, fold it up and stick it in my bag. It's just a really well thought out design that's perfectly calibrated for use in the office. And I don't know if I was able to convey that to you well or not. I'm not quite sure how best to express it, but it's just such a nice device to use. And again, this particular aspect that I'm focusing on, the Note Air was pretty much in a similar camp. I felt I was just as light, probably a little bit lighter, The cover wasn't as nice as this, but I certainly felt comfortable folding that over and writing it like a notepad. So it's not unique to this device. There's a couple devices that have this sense of packaging, if you will, for lack of a better term. But this, coupled with the other things, is just an example of what makes working with the Supernote so effective and so special in a work environment. So there you go. Those are the 3 predominant reasons, the best reasons that I can give for the Supernote as my daily driver. But as I said in the intro, they're not the only reasons. And it's the little things, it's the details that make Supernote so special. So in the next video, we're going to cover those and go over a lot of the little things that maybe aren't as critical as what we just talked about in this video, but step by step help put the Supernote to be the device that it is, which I think is the best e-note-taking device out there, particularly for work. So I will see you then.